Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Square the Circle Music channel. That's right. You're here again with your old pal Mage. We're talking about record collecting, music appreciation, all that great stuff. Head over to the Instagram, visit me there, and follow me, give me some hearts, whatever you'd like to do. And scroll down in my video history and check out some of my older content and look for a contest video. And everybody enter my contest. It's lots of fun. So let's get into some music, shall we? If maybe you're looking around at all the things you see here, you might be able to guess what tonight's episode is about. That's right. We're going to talk about Prog heavyweights Genesis. That's right. In a little special episode that I like to call Nerd Alert. That's right. We're going to focus real heavy on some of that delicious, nerdy Prog stuff that all you boys and girls really seem to like. Just about as much as I do, if not more, probably more. This is something that is fairly new to me. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and progressive rock was not really talked about very much, at least not amongst the the kids, the teenagers, things like that. We were heavily focused on rock and roll and more along the lines of punk rock, heavy metal, things like that. So I didn't grow up steeped in, art rock, progressive rock, stuff like that. But I really have come to really appreciate and enjoy and love every aspect of it. And of course, Genesis being one of the, like I said, heavyweights, one of the stalwart, pillars of prog rock, what people call the top 5, the top 6, whatever. They're, if not the greatest, one of the greatest. Really heart-wrenching to see Genesis play their final show ever just recently. Very bittersweet, but a truly wonderful end to just an amazing career, all of those guys. So I really just kind of wanted to give kind of a real heartfelt kind of fare thee well to the legendary band Genesis this evening and do a nerded out episode solely focused on those guys. So this is going to be, like I was alluding to earlier, this is going to be through the eyes, through the lens of a person that I didn't grow up in the UK, and I wasn't a teenager / young adult in the 70s. So please forgive me. And this is just going to be a top 12 list of what I feel is the top 12 greatest songs that Genesis ever wrote. My take on it, kid of the 80s and 90s, an American, and like I said, someone who's fairly new to progressive rock as a whole. Something I've only been listening to prog for maybe 15 years. So my opinion is pretty green, so to speak. Kind of bit of a bush leaguer still compared to a lot of you folks who are going to be hemming and hawing throughout this whole list. But there's my disclaimer. So if any of you fuckers, are getting frustrated with me, sorry. This is just kind of a younger guy's take on, what I feel is the greatest of Genesis. I love the shit out of them. So throughout this list, you're going to kind of feel like, you ever play cards? You ever play Texas Hold'em with somebody who doesn't know what the hell they're doing, and how frustrating of a game that can be when you're trying to read somebody and bet accordingly and do your thing, and you got Johnny Q, numbnut over here at the other end of the table that doesn't understand the game and is just throwing money at the table in all which directions, that's me. That's me tonight. When talking about, legendary British prog rockers. So everybody just roll with it. Here's your old pal Mage talking about his top 12 favorite Genesis songs ever made, in solace and gratitude for those amazing musicians that we all love so dear. So we're thanking them for an illustrious career and all of the wonderful art they've given us. And so this is my little piece for them. So here we go. Number 12 on my list. one that kind of like danced around all over the list. And I really love it. It's such a fantastic song. It just didn't quite hold up as much in my heart as the stuff that was near to the top of the list. But number 12 is the 11th Earl of Mar off of the Wind and Wuthering album from 1976. Then it's the album opener, isn't it? And it's a really great, like, uplifting, kind of just, a snappy way to start an album. Phil Collins, clever lyrics, and I mean, less about the lyrics and more just about the kind of the way he's using his vocals as an instrument. He's always been that way to me, and his pop sensibility. I love the way he stuff rolls off his tongue. It's very rhythmic. It's very catchy and clever, more so than the lyrical content. We left that to Peter Gabriel, right, to really take care of the poetic lyrical content that he gave us in the early stages of Genesis. But still love the shit out of Phil Collins and everything he did as the front man. This being one of those tunes that's just like, it just kind of rolls off the tongue. Rutherford's bass, just real simple walking. It's got those really cool offbeat, syncopated, crazy weird percussive hits there at the beginning. Lots of great keyboard work, cool sounds, newer sounds. This was 1976, and Wind and Wuthering was just kind of like another step in a really, really much cooler direction, taking things into a new era of Genesis. That it wasn't the first album, with Phil Collins at the helm, but I feel it was, I don't know, I liked it better than Trick of the Tail, just my opinion. So, but yeah. Daddy, you promised, fucking cool song. What's it about? It's about some crazy British shit, you folks. Earl of Mar, and what was something about the Jacobite revolution that happened like in the 16th century or some shit. I don't know. I didn't read too much into it. Whatever. It's just a really catchy, great song. So that's number 12 on my list. Moving along here, number 11 on this list. One that really just, again, it didn't quite, it almost didn't make the list, but it was going to be a top 10 list. I was like, I really want to put 11th Earl of Mar and this really, really other great song. Kind of I wouldn't say undersung song. A lot of people really love it and kind of feel that it's, second to the best, track on Foxtrot. So I'm talking about Can Utility and the Coastliners. I don't know, really awesome. I love the use of the Mellotron on the album, the song. Well, all throughout the album, but especially on this song. I don't know, just real great colors and soundscapes from the Mellotron, amongst a more kind of just like upbeat, catchy tune. I like how they did a lot of like direct tempo changes in these days, in these albums. With Steve Hackett, just was like, I feel he was the one that was kind of driving that ship. I don't know, maybe Rutherford as well, but I always felt like kind of Steve Hackett was just really just kind of like guiding the band. And in those days, 72, 73, 74, they were like all kinds of direct tempo changes all throughout their songs. And I really love and respect that. It's a really cool, just, not often used, kind of, part of the arithmetic of songwriting, you know what I mean? Just kind of like the basics and fundamentals. It's like, rather than just using like clever chord structure and clever rhythms or whatever, that's what Prog did for us, was it really took it to a grand scope where things were being used like in a symphonic way, where you have all these really great like things like, long holding fermata moments and direct tempo changes where you just have, it begins the song and then suddenly, boom, new tempo, new feel, new style, and then toward the end you go back to the tempo, you know what I mean? And just kind of like recap the whole thing. Yes, did it really fucking well. All of you fucking limeys, all you Brits just did it amazingly well. So I don't know, that's what that song really gives me a lot of good feeling and vibes. Just the Hackett's strumming. I think he's playing an acoustic guitar at some point in the beginning when that first direct tempo change hits, and it's just the that really cool, I don't know, he's got great rhythmic sense in his guitar playing too. Probably why I really love him as a guitar player a lot. I'm a drummer and I love rhythmic guitar players. So anyway, blah, 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 blah. 11 on my list, Can Utility and the Coastliners. Great, great epic fucking song. So thank you, Genesis, for that one. Number 10, top 10. Here we go. One that a lot of you folks might kind of be like, okay, whatever, about this one, but I love and appreciate. It's not their first album, but it's their first real kind of like, you know, open the door, hey, here we are. This is us. Trespass from 1970, and the song The Knife is not my number 10 on this list. It's fucking cool. I like that loping kind of charging, like, you know, I just really kind of grandiose kind of thing. And then it metamorphosizes toward the middle to end of the song. It kind of turns into another feel, another style, another tempo. It's got some balls, feels a little bit more kind of like more of a, you know, early 70s, late 60s kind of like hard rock, psychedelic rock, kind of along the lines of what you were hearing in 1970 from, I don't know, when was Jethro Tull's first album? It was like 69 or 70. It kind of reminds me, musically speaking, from a composition aspect and the sound, you know, formative, and it just kind of had that earthy kind of, you know, just formative sound. You know, they were still kind of getting their shit together, so to speak. And yeah, that early classic period of like 1970s Prog, when everything was still kind of like really brewing and it hadn't really gained, you know, a lot of that finesse that the later years, as getting into like, you know, 72, 73, 74, when their sound became finely tuned and very honed, but honed like a knife. I love The Knife. That's number 10 on my list from the very beginning period of Genesis. Had to really just wanted to mention that song. Okay, more into familiar territory here. Some of the hits you're going to begin to start really understanding. Okay, yes, that needs to be on the top 10 for sure. Number 9 on my list is Dance on a Volcano from Trick of the Tail, the opening track to Trick of a Tail. This was not my first Genesis experience, because of course, like I said in the beginning of this episode, the disclaimer, I am a child of the 80s and 90s, so my first experiences with Genesis were Phil Collins' 80s Genesis, and obviously a much different sound and style and everything. So mostly Phil Collins' solo career, but I do remember a lot of stuff from those few, you know, mid 80s Genesis albums that were pretty sick. You know, the Ab Cab album and Duke and stuff like that, and just nothing from that era made this list. I'll be candid with you, folks. Here we are. I like you guys. I'll be candid with you. There's nothing from that era on this list, unfortunately. I do appreciate and love and dig a lot of those aspects, but what you see right here, that's my collection, and that's where it ended for me. It ended in 1979 with, and then there were 3. So where was I going with this? I really love Trick of the Tail. That was my, in as far as the older classic Genesis goes, that was my first album that I got. And as soon as I heard what a great theme, what a great musical theme. I'm not sure who wrote that, if it was Hackett or if it was Rutherford, but somebody did, and it's a really catchy thing. You know, they revisit it again when they recap it at the end of the tune. There's that kind of, the end of the album, I'm sorry. Isn't there like a kind of a full-on album, almost like recap song near the very end of that album? Bad fan, sorry. Things get twisted up in my head, but that's definitely one of their greatest songs, in my opinion. What did I put it at? Number 9, Dance on a Volcano, off of Trick of the Tail, 1976, right? They released 2 in 1976, Wind and Wuthering and Trick of the Tail. So Trick of the Tail was first, early on in 76, and then later on, Wind and Wuthering. Pardon me while I wet my whistle. Moving along, talking about legendary prog rock greats. Genesis. And we're going to miss them saying sayonara this evening in the major way. Number 8 on my list, another Wind and Wuthering hit. If anyone's watched my channel for any duration of time, and when I talk about Genesis, Wind and Wuthering comes up a lot. I happen to feel that it's one of their more underrated albums and doesn't get talked about a lot. And there's I think there's at least 3 tunes from that album on my top 12. So yeah, love the shit out of that album. I think One for the Vine is up there. I really love One for the Vine. I love that just really charming melody at the very end with Steve Hackett's high electric guitar. Really beautiful moment. Another kind of, another thing I appreciate a lot about Wind and Wuthering is that it's kind of medium length in tunes, and everything has just a really overall aesthetic, mellow kind of overall feel. It feels very just kind of like less like a concept album and more just kind of like an experience album. Does that make any sense? You know what I mean? Just like the aesthetic and the overall emotive feeling that I get from Wind and Wuthering. It's just kind of like an all-encompassing warm hug, the whole album beginning to end. And One for the Vine is just, I think it's one of the later tracks on the album, and it really just kind of like seals the deal and brings everything back home and makes you feel just like really intensely warm and cared for. If that's getting really weird here, guys, sorry, getting a little bit hippie on you. That song and the way it just kind of like, in a sense, finalizes the album, just kind of like a bow tie on the top, and just kind of envelops you, and I don't know, such a beautiful song. So that's my number 8 on my greatest Genesis hits, the greatest hits. Number 7, in the same vein, just kind of really warm and enveloping, but even more so kind of ironic. The lyrical aspects of this song are not so kind of like warm and enveloping, and actually kind of like cold, and in a sense kind of the, I don't know, you know what I mean, like antithesis to what the music gives, the feelings the music gives you. The music makes you feel kind of sedated. Actually, that is fitting for the lyrical theme of this song. But I'm talking about Entangled, the song Entangled from Trick of the Tail, where you get that sense of like you're just being taken care of, la da dee dee, and then what is he saying? Magical something and over the rooftops and houses. You feel like you're flying, and then just that beautiful, well, is it probably a 12-string guitar and 6-string acoustic? If you can help you, we will. Something, you're tired and ill. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of a Pink Floyd song. Kind of that comfortably numb, Wall type of feeling, but years earlier. Just clever. I love the clever lyrics and just the plodding along. It's one of their more simplistic tunes, just very calm and swaying back and forth in 12/8 time, that kind of thing. Just long, triplety. Something, you'll catch your breath and the nurse will present you the bill. Oh, what a great fucking song. Anyway, yeah, Entangled, off of the Trick of a Tail album. Again, 1976. Love the shit out of that song. Like, that, again, was my first, album as an adult, learning about, how Genesis were prog giants. When I was like growing up in my 20s, that's all I knew of Genesis was 80s Genesis. I didn't understand that they had this like immensely beautiful career in the early 70s. So this is like, after I bought Trick of Tail and was listening to this, I was like, man, these guys are just fucking magical. They're so great. Okay, getting kind of deeper into the Gabriel years. Not that I feel that the Gabriel years are better. I've never said that. I've never thought that. I've never alluded to that fact. They're just different. And it's kind of like the band was almost a completely different band in a sense. But yeah, sure do love that early formative sound that Peter Gabriel, and just that artistic, cool, on stage persona you know, that Gabriel brought the band. Always in, you know, always in the spotlight and always on and always just like Peter Gabriel, you know. So what an intriguing and enigmatic soul he has always been. Number 6 on my list is again like that haunting, enigmatic, you know, Gabriel in the spotlight, solo face kind of thing. And that's what this song really, every time this song is on, that's what my brain automatically goes to. It's just that, you know, like I said, that enigmatic, picturesque thing of Gabriel in the spotlight with that flower fucking mask on, and it's like, I don't know, so great. Carpet Crawlers from the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, 1975. That's my number 6 song. A lot like the last song I was just talking about again too, like Entangled, just really kind of haunting, kind of just plods along. It's got that really, it's in straight 4 though, you know, really cool, strange, like just hypnotizing beat kind of under everything that's like almost not there. And the way he's presenting these lyrics to you, like he's just kind of like giving you instructions, you know. And it's just, and then when the Carpet Crawlers theme comes in, that beautiful, beautiful melody, God, these guys are really just like smiths, you know, of melody. Just amazing melodies they could just pull out of their asses, and that they gave us. Carpet Crawlers, dun, 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 you gotta get in to get out. Oh man, really, really cool song. It makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, doesn't it? Something about that melody. They hit the right frequencies for us humans in our weird little brain, and you got that little thing in your brain that's, someone figures out the perfect, you know, harmonies and the perfect, you know, chord progressions to really get that, those goosebumps just suddenly popping out of your back. And Carpet Crawlers is one of those songs. It's more than an earworm. It just is like, gives you the fuzzies, gives you the warm and fuzzies. You know what I'm talking about. Here we are, guys. Top 5 greatest Genesis songs ever written, in this guy's opinion. Just my opinion. We talked about this already. Don't make me talk about it again. Number 5 on the list for me is Blood on the Rooftops. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to talk more about Wind and Wuthering. It just is what it is. Blood on the Rooftops gives me that, like, again, that warm aesthetic, kind of like invite you in for a cup of tea. You Brits. Oh, thank goodness for you and your wonderful culture. I had a friend from, where did he say he was from? He wasn't a Scotsman, but he spent a lot of his like young life in Scotland, and just kind of like had that vibe. A lot of British folks do, don't you? You have kind of like, you know, you share all these cultures because everyone's from the whole island, you know, so everyone kind of embraces a bit of that Scottish and embraces the Welsh, and just is like, everyone's just, you know, British. I like how you guys all embrace that shit. Anyway, I had a homie from the island, and he, you know, we spent some time, Andy Wills, if you're out there, man, what's up, buddy? But we just to sit around and have tea together, and, you know, he worshipped Genesis and Phil Collins, and because he was a little bit older than me, he's probably about 15 years older than me. And so we'd sit around and just talk, you know, the differences of our cultures, and just music and just art and all kinds of great shit. Really fucking cool guy. So I picked up a lot of just love for this kind of stuff. And that song, you know, the way it goes into it, Blood on the Rooftops, that really charming, touching way he just kind of like, the song just starts and he just talks about, we always watch the Queen on Christmas Day, won't you stay? And I don't know, I love that. It's so fucking charming. Really sonically soaring, beautiful. Blood on the rooftops, too much for me, something. I love the way it's pretty grandiose and pretty cool. A lot of Phil Collins, you know, vocal stylings toward the end again too, just kind of like, I don't know, it's just really impressive. I guess I don't really need to try to get any more really descriptive with it. You guys know what I'm talking about. This is just like, you know, beautiful soaring music. I don't know, Wind and Wuthering, just fucking super underrated, in my opinion. I've talked about it before. So, yeah, that's my number 5. Way up there. I don't know many people, if I've only watched a few like top 10 lists about Genesis, but you know, everyone's top 10 is basically just, you know, from Foxtrot and Selling England by the Pound and you know, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. But yeah, well, that was at least my 3rd. Yeah, from Wind and Wuthering. Fucking cool album. All right, number 4, guys. Here we are. Here we are again, an even more familiar territory where everyone now is like, okay, top 4, you better be talking about what I'm talking about. My number 4 spot is Firth of Fifth. So there it is. There's one from Selling England by the Pound, dude. That piano part that Tony Banks pulled out of his ass, dude. And here we are again. We're talking about like those kind of really cool direct tempo changes. And was and when he starts really cool in like classical piano, he's doing kind of this mirroring the same idea with his left hand at one point, isn't he? It's not all on one hand. I think he starts playing octaves in one part, but beautiful, you know, that classical piano sound in the beginning, but as the song progresses through the whole thing, the that direct tempo change thing to just like a real grandiose spot, you know. And Tony Banks just like takes this song. This song is just kind of his. There's all sorts of really awesome soft stopping moments, like I said, just kind of like a, you know, decrescendo into like kind of like a fermata moment where you'll just hear nothing but Tony Banks and just classical piano right there, you know. And there's a lot of little moments like that where the spotlight just kind of goes to him. I really love that about this song. Again, another kind of like medium length song. I really love the fact that Genesis were masters of like the 7 to 9 minute song range. That's just perfect for me personally. That's just the perfect length of song. Yeah. And that ripping shit toward the end, and Phil Collins, and he's really just, you know, the interpretation of those notes aren't perfect by any means. He wasn't that type of a drummer. He wasn't, I mean, he was very technical, but I love how 70s drummers, a lot of like those kind of quick, fast notes, they were just kind of buzz rolling those notes, you know, so they weren't like super interpreted and perfect sextuplets, and all those cool triplet things he's doing. They were just like jazzy kind of buzz rolls, like press rolls on his snare drum, and all that stuff he's running down the toms. Just, I don't know. There's some really fantastic drumming on that song. I just kind of feel that that was a song off of Selling England by the Pound that was more about kind of like featuring the chops of these players and what they could really pull off. Yeah, if anyone says that Genesis was never a very like technically proficient band and more of just kind of like an artsy symphonic band, I kind of have to have some words with them, and I would definitely use specifically that song. Firth of Fifth off of Selling England by the Pound, 1973, right? Yeah, I think so, 1973. Pretty badass. They had some weird chunks. It's like they ripped out like 4 albums in 3 years, but then when was the break? There was a break in 74, wasn't there? Because I think they did Selling England by the Pound in 73, and I don't think they put anything out in 74. And then 75 was Lamb Lies Down. So, I don't know. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. All right, guys, here we are. Top 3. Top 3 greatest Genesis songs ever written. I say number 3 is Musical Box. I fucking love this song. When people talk about their magnum opus, I mean, this one does. It comes up in the magnum opus category for these guys. But yeah, it's my number 3. I love just all of the nursery rhyme, you know, lyrical kind of, you know, throwing bits and pieces of all just that, you know, British English, you know, folklore and just the stuff, the literary, you know, genius that he just kind of tosses into this song. Really comical, cool moments, again, very symphonic, lots of starts and stops and tempo changes and just interesting things. Just kind of like all sorts of lights being turned off and on and shed. You feel like you're in, a theatrical production. You feel like you're watching some shit go down on stage. It's fucking amazing. Like their music, you can have this show going on in your mind when you're listening to this music. It's pretty cool. Very elaborate stuff. None so much as Musical Box off of Nursery Crime. 1971 was Nursery Crime, I think. Here I go again. 71, 72. I think it was 71 was Nursery Crime. So, bless that song. Pretty cool. Number 2. Oh boy. We're getting down to the nitty gritty here, folks. Pardon me while I take a drink. Jazzed to be talking about Genesis with you guys. Fucking amazing band. And to, I probably give off that energy like I'm just like an excited fucking teenager about this band. Because I am, I only discovered them 10 years ago. So the relationship I'm having with this band right now is still, it's still like puppy love in a sense. I'm just like really eating this shit up and just enjoying every moment of it because it's all new to me. Kinda. There's a lot of it that I've really had a lot of time and years to really soak up, but what an incredible career, that they truly had. And again, I feel guilty. I'm sorry, everybody. I'll have to apologize again because I know that everything after 79, 80, I'm sure it's magnificent. And I know there's aspects of it that truly are magnificent. And I'll dive back into that again. I had Duke at one point. I listened to Duke quite a bit, and I let it go because it was one that was just never really getting the attention maybe some think it deserves. And I think I had, again, I don't need to go off about this, but I've had a lot of those 80s albums, and I know there's little teeny bits and pieces that I can glean and love from it, but I don't have it in my collection, don't have it on LP, and don't really talk about it much. So maybe I'll do some book learnings on my 80s Genesis, and then I'll get back to you guys with an episode about 80s Genesis, and we'll really do another, super deep dive, nerd alert fucking episode. All right, let's move it along, Mage. Holy shit, here we are, number 2. My number 2. A lot of people are gonna throw whatever's in your hand at the screen at this one, but my number 2 is Dancing in the Moonlight with the Moon Knight. What is it? Dancing with the Moonlit Night, from the opening track from Selling England by the Pound. That track, again, like what I was talking about with Blood on the Rooftops, just that very British, very charming, very inviting, warm, that's the senses I get. This, the song is basically, an opening description of like, this is our, country. This is our style. This is our life. This is how we are. Can you tell me where my country lies? Said the uniform to his true love's eyes. Kind of a, Irish kind of, real kind of thing going on. And it lies with me, says the Queen of Maybe, for her merchandise he gave away his prize. That's like the greatest opening to a fucking rock song ever. And those little noodlies, fucking Steve Hackett. Oh man, what a great fucking song. I'm not gonna sit here and sing the whole song, I promise, guys. Yeah. With the Moonlit Night. Yeah, what a masterpiece. Everyone's like, what, dude? That's got to be your number 1. No, okay. We've talked about this. Just my opinion, man. Just my opinion. That's my number 2. So, yeah, Selling England by the Pound was one that I kind of really didn't, I didn't really get into the first, as I was just getting into Genesis. Like I said, Trick of the Tail, Wind and Wuthering. And then I discovered, I think it was then that I discovered this one as part of the Peter Gabriel years. So this was my introduction to Gabriel, Genesis was selling in England by the pound. So pretty badass. All right, here we go, guys. I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to do the honorable mention of the evening. Here's the honorable mention because everyone talks about this song. It's always everyone's number one. I featured it on my favorite, most epic songs ever written. So scroll down in my video history and check out that video. It's pretty fun. And so, yes, of course, here it is. My special mention of the evening is, you got it, Supper's Ready. Supper's Ready off of Foxtrot. I just had to put it in the honorable mention spot because it just, I've already talked about it so much. And like I said, everybody talks about it all the time. It is a fucking magnificent song. Everything about it from beginning to end, it truly could be considered their magnum opus. I'm not going to say my favorite, Genesis song is their magnum opus. I'm not that much of a fucking, egomaniac, but I can understand why people would say Supper's Ready is their magnum opus. It's pretty fucking amazing. So don't need to talk about it. Like I said, if you want to hear me talk about it in length a little bit, scroll down and check out my most epic songs ever written video. I posted it maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, but yeah, so there's that. Honorable mention of the evening. My number one. Here it is, guys. Number one. The greatest Genesis song ever written, I feel, in my opinion, is The Chamber of 32 Doors on The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. There's so many doors. Can you help me? Oh, can you help me? His voice, I fucking love that part. It feels like his voice is being pulled, his soul is being pulled out of him and dissipates into the fucking ether as it comes crashing down. Boom. I'd rather trust a countryman than a town man. It's got like the barroom classic piano, Tony Banks playing. Oh, you can see in his eyes. Wow, what does he say? The fucking lyrics in this part are absolutely genius. Like this song to me feels almost kind of more like, like a classic Americana tune. It kind of has that real kind of rootsy, folksy kind of, just Americana feel. I don't know. I fucking love it. What does he say? Survival trains hard, Pretty fucking amazing. Amazing lyrical content, amazing music, amazing, absolutely astounding conceptual design to a song, and how it really makes you, it forces you into a really introspective spot when this song comes on, and how, incredibly emotional and elaborate and crazy cool is The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. And throughout this whole thing, when it comes on, you're really kind of at like a real kind of like splitting open integral part of the album, and it just like, it really magnifies that. You feel, again, like Gabriel, just you feel hit like by that blinding spotlight, and you feel like you're being peeled open. There's so many doors, Oh, I just truly feel like it's, in my opinion, it's their greatest song. It's just, like I said, it forces you into a really introspective, very visceral, human type of feeling and experience. That's what I get from the song. Pretty intense. It's a very intense song. I feel it's kind of their most serious song in a way, just very intense. It's my favorite. It's my favorite Genesis song. So there it is, guys. I'm just going to leave it at that. You want to fight? Join me in the comments. Let's fight about it. Just kidding. I know everyone loves Genesis. This band brings the greatest parts of humanity together, all together. Watching them and their career has been, like I said, bittersweet. And the world's a better place because of the band Genesis and everybody in it. and everybody that participated and everything they did, all the roadies and all the sound and light guys and all the fucking crews and the tours and the people and everything over this, like, what, 50, help me with my math, guys, 50 plus year career. So yeah, again, thank the stars for Genesis. Love the shit out of them. This has been my top 12 greatest Genesis songs ever written. I'm your pal Aaron Major, signing off from Springfield, Oregon. Eat your vegetables, wipe your ass, clean your records, put them away correctly the way they belong, in alphabetical order, in color-coded polyurethane, everything pristine. Keep it real, guys. I love you. Peace be with you.